Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making this adorable fun fold card. It is project number 1 in my First Frost December Club Kit. Check out my website, cutstampcreateclub.com, to see what current club kits I'm offering. Now if you don't have the club kit, don't worry, I'll give the dimensions as we go along so that you can make this fun fold card along with us. Now for this card you're going to need your Tranquil Tide ink. That's going to be for the inside, for the leaves, the vine there, and then you're going to need your Merry Merlot to do the sentiment and the roses. And this is the stamp set that we'll be using, the First Frost stamp set, and it goes with the Frosted Bouquet Framelits dies. And these are the dies. You get lots of nice little dies here. And this is the bundle that we're working with in December 2018. Now in your club kit you get 6 by 12 sheets of paper. And I try to make it so that you can make more than one of the cards. So if you cut your paper correctly, you can actually make 3 of these cards. So you'll start by cutting 4 by 6. And this is the sheet we'll use, and then you can use this for something else, or you could cut another 4 by 6 and then have 2 4 by 6s to do other cards. So you're going to take your 4 by 6 and you're going to cut it into 2 pieces, and this piece is going to be 3.5 by 4. So we'll be using it this way, but you'll cut it 4 by 3.5, and this is going to be 4 by 1.5. So 4 by 1.5, 4 by 3.5. But we're actually going to use them this way. So that's how we're going to cut it. And then we'll be using it in these places here. So for the card base, you'll need a piece of thick whisper white, 11 by 4.25, so basically a half a sheet. So the regular whisper white, you'll need 2 pieces, 4.25 by 3.5, and then 1 piece of whisper white, 4 7/8 by 5, 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. You'll need 2 pieces of Merry Merlot. One will be 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and one will be 2 by 3.5. And this is going to be for your sentiment, the front sentiment, and this is for the inside sentiment. Then for your gray granite, you'll have a piece that is 5 1/4 by 4. That's for the inside sentiment as well. And then you'll need a piece for the outside, 3 5/8 by 4 1/8. 3 5/8 by 4 1/8. And then another piece that is 1 5/8 by 4 1/8. 1 5/8 by 4 1/8. And that's going to be the front. So we have the inside and the front. You'll need 1 piece of Tranquil Tide, 4 1/4 by 3. And you'll need a piece of soft suede, 4 1/4 by 3. And lastly, you'll need a 12-inch piece of the gray granite textured weave ribbon. So we have our thick whisper white, 11 by 4 1/4. We're going to score first at 3 3/4. And then we're going to turn it around to the other side, the other end, and we're going to score at 1 3/4. And that's going to be our card base. So we're going to find our folds, and we're going to just fold and burnish with our bone folder. Okay, so we're going to do some stamping, and the first thing we're going to stamp are our roses. We have a large rose and a smaller rose. We're going to do 2 of each. We have our 4 1/4 by 3.5 piece of whisper white, and we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to stamp those one at a time. I'm going to stamp. Now I want to leave room for me to die cut them too, so I don't want to get too close to the edge. So I'm going to use my Merry Merlot ink, and I'm going to ink up my rose. this is the first time you're using this stamp, you may need to do some practice to get your stamp seasoned well before you can get a really good image. I'm going to do that again because I want a nice dark image. So now I'm going to turn it this way and make sure I have room to stamp again. Looks like I can move this over a little bit. Okay, I'm going to stamp another image. So I've inked those up 3 times. Now I'm going to clean my stamp off and stamp my smaller roses. Okay, so we have our 4 roses. Okay, now we have our other 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and we're going to stamp "Here's to a season filled with warmth, comfort, and good cheer." And we can probably get 2 of these, but if you only need 1, just leave room to do your die cut. And this is the die cut that we'll be using, so I could actually move that over a little bit. So I could get 2 if I needed to, just in case I have a boo-boo. So we have our front sentiment stamped. Okay, for our next stamping, I have put a piece of grid paper down here to cover up, because I'm going to be inking over my paper, my 4 7/8 by 3 5/8 whisper white. And we're going to stamp these vines here. So we're going to stamp the first vine kind of right here, not too far, about 1/2 inch from the bottom. We're going to use Tranquil Tide. So once we have that image, we're going to move our paper over and down so that we can get another stamp. I think I'll move it up a little bit. There we go. And we have our vines. Okay, now that we have our stamping done, we're going to do our die cutting, and I've taped the small rose die and the large rose die to these roses, and I've taped the inside of the sentiment die over our front sentiment, and I'm going to run these through our Big Shot. So we're done with our roses and our sentiment. Now we're going to cut from our 2 3 1/2 Mary Merlot, our frame around our sentiment, and we're going to cut 2 of our leaves from our 4 1/4 by 3 inch Tranquil Tide. We will die cut 2 of these. So now we have our leaves and our Mary Merlot background for our sentiment. Now we're going to take our soft suede, our 4 1/4 by 3 inch soft suede, and we're going to cut 2 of these like sprigs of berries or whatever that is. So now we have our 2 sprigs, so we can bring in all of the things that we have die cut. So these are all our die cuts. Now we'll bring in our card base, our DSP, and our cardstock. So we'll start by doing the inside, and I didn't stamp anything, but if you wanted to stamp something like a sentiment here, this would be a good time to do it, or you could just leave that blank so you have room to write something. So we're going to put a layer of the 5 1/4 by 4 gray granite. Then we're going to get our 5 1/8 by 3 7/8 Mary Merlot on top of that. And then our sentiment panel that we stamped is going to go on top of that. Okay, so we have those in place. Now we're going to take one of the larger roses and we're just going to put it kind of here. We'll use glue dots for that. So that our inside is finished. Now we're going to do the outside. We're going to take our piece of gray granite that's going to go here. That's our 3 5/8 by 4 1/8 is going to go there. Our 1 5/8 by 4 1/8, 1 5/8 by 4 1/8 is going to go there. Our DSP It's going to go here. And where you cut it, you can see where the pattern matches, like right there. You can see, so that's what we want to maintain, that pattern match. So where that pattern matches, that's how you want it to go on your card base. Okay, so we have our front panels on. Now we need to do our sentiment. So we'll put our sentiment on our background, our Mary Merlot background. Now we're going to set that aside for a minute, and we're going to put our flowers on. Now we know we're going to want this here. So what we'll need to do is we're going to build up our flower base. We'll start by putting our Tranquil Tide down. So we're going to put them about right there, about an inch from the bottom. And you'll have the tips to meet like that. And we're going to use glue dots to put those on. Just put some here on the near the bottom part of the leaf there, and maybe one there. And you want to twist them off. You don't want to pull it off. You want to twist it off. So, oops. We'll put that about right there. Want it over a little bit. Well, I think we want them to cross kind of like that. Yeah, that's what we want. These leaves right here to cross. So this leaf's going to go right on top of that leaf, like that. The next we're going to have our little sprigs of soft suede. I'm going to go like right there, and they're going to cross up here as well. And we can put those on with some, most of this is going to be hidden, so we can just put a glue dot right here. And remember, just pinch it off. And maybe one right here. So there and there. And we'll put that here. Just putting them over the Tranquil Tide. So now we're going to put the roses on. We're going to put one large rose and then one of the smaller roses, kind of like right there. And use glue dots for those. And I used quite a few glue dots because I want it to stay in place. And I'm going to put that about right here. And I'm going to put the littler one kind of here. And I was generous with my glue dots. So let's see, right about there is good. Now all we need to do is put our bow. So we'll get our piece of 12-inch piece of ribbon, and we're going to make a loop about like that. Bring this end around. Bring it over here so you can see. So I have a loop, and I'm going to bring that around to the back and then through where my thumb is. I'm going to pull it and then just adjust it to size. So there's my bow, and I'm going to put some glue dots on it and then adhere it here above the roses. I think before I do that though, I'm going to go ahead and trim the edges. So I'm just going to place my bow here over the roses, kind of fluff up my tails there. Now I'm going to put this here, but I'm going to put some tear and tape on the side because I want it to be strong. So I'm just going to eyeball it pretty much about a little more than half. So I know this is the side that I'm going to put my tear and tape on. So I have my tear and tape. Now we don't use this rose, so we can put that rose aside. I'm going to go ahead and burnish this, and then I'm going to take remove it. Now it's ready to go here, and I'm just going to kind of get an idea where to put it. I don't want my, let's see, a little bit lower, right about there, I think. Okay, so now if you want to, you can do this little trick. You can put a glue dot here in the center, right here, and then just touch it with your fingers so that it's not as sticky. It's just tacky, and then you can use it to kind of keep your card closed, and then it will open up. It won't stick completely. Since you put your finger on there, it got some of the oil from your hand on there, and that makes it so it won't tear the paper. All right, well, we are finished with our card, our first project in our First Frost Club Kit, and stay tuned for project number 2. Check out my website, cutstampcreateclub.com, to see what current club kits I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.